You're welcome back to a new day, and we're going to look at our lifestyle segment now, brought to you by Lipton Tea, inspiration flowing from nature. Join Lipton Tea on the journey of refreshment and vitality. Lipton Tea is still the world's favorite hot tea brand, which gives you the needed level of alertness to start your day. So take another look at your day and begin with a cup of Lipton for natural refreshment in mind and body. Okay, Sunday is Mother's Day, and we're celebrating mothers. I was reading articles on motherhood yesterday, and one that really touched me was that you don't need to have children to be a good mother. There are in fact fathers who are like mothers, and there are people who have no children but are mothers to several people. And another quote that I found: being a mother is learning about strengths you didn't know you had and dealing with fears you didn't know existed. Okay, so we have three lovely women here this morning. They're all working mothers, and every mother works. But if you choose to get a career, then you have to juggle between being a mother and a career woman. All right, so the three ladies here will be taking us through our discussion, how they've done it all these years. Look at them, looking all so fabulous. It's as if they have no pressures at all in life. Oops. Okay, so on my immediate left is Edith Dankwa. She's the Chief Executive Officer of the Business and Financial Times. Congratulations, though. Your paper is very lovely.
Thank you.
I love the angles that you take. You stay off the usual noise and politics, and you focus on more issues about the economy.
Yes.
And it's very, very interesting. We learn a lot from your paper every day.
Thank you.
Okay, and then Gina West.
Always.
You were looking fabulous at the VGMA.
Hey, you saw
I saw your dress. Yeah, you loved it. You rocked it, actually.
Thank you.
Yes. Gina sings. She's a mother of four.
Three. Ooh,
Mother
is
of
that
three.
prophetic? Three.
Maybe there's one on the way. Yeah. Okay. And then Esther Koba. Each time I see this lady, I blush. Yeah. Good to see you, Auntie Esther. Okay. So I'll start with you first, Edith, Chief Executive of Business and Financial Times. The paper is out every day, and you need to ensure that things are on track. How do you do it? How many children do you have, by the way?
I have 3 children.
3.
2 boys and a girl.
Okay.
And 16, 14, and 7. So now I'm out of that, difficult period, although you need to give them, that attention and time. But it is not easy, having to juggle between your work and then also family, and being a mother for your children and for the whole family. But I believe that if you put your mind at what you're doing and you know what you want, as a woman, you must ask yourself what you want. Do you want a career? Do you want to take care of the other family? Do you want to work? What do you want?
Do you want it all?
Do you want it all? Yes. Some of us want it all. And so you must strike a balance, taking care of the family and the kids, and then work. It is not easy because sometimes, work is so challenging, having to go through all the hectic, issues day, and then you get back home very tired. And that is when the school children are also back, your kids are also back, and they want your attention. And so you need to give them the best of you. How do you strike a balance? Sometimes you're just tired, you don't want to talk. But they are there, Mommy, I want you to help me with my homework. Yeah. I said, but Daddy is there, let Daddy help you. No, Mommy, I want you to help me. What do? You must sacrifice and give them that time. And then you also have to give your attention to your work. How do you do that?
I thought you were going to say to your spouse.
To your husband. Yeah, it's part of the family. Yes, that is also, you have to be there for all of them. Your husband, your children, your extended, family. Be there for everyone. But the secret is that you have to strike a balance. When I hope I'm not saying too much.
No. I'll let you know when you're saying too much.
Okay. When, I started having babies, it was quite hectic. Having to give your children that attention, your husband, and also sometimes, because I had friends before, I got married. How do you give your friends that attention to? Because then it becomes challenging. This lady was there for us. All of a sudden, she doesn't want to mind us. Is it because she's now married and we are not married? It's difficult for friends to understand. family understands sometimes, but you also have cousins around, your siblings, they have the best of you. And now you're married, you have to give your children attention, you have to breastfeed, you have to do this. When there are parties, sometimes it's difficult for you to go. Exactly. And so those are challenging, really, really challenging times. But when the kids are growing, and one thing is that you have to teach them at a younger age for them to learn to do things, on their own. So at 4 years, 5 years, you're teaching them how to bathe, how to do things. At 6, they will do breakfast, simple breakfast, cut their bread, do their beverage. So it takes a lot of bedding off you.
Yeah. We'll look at the challenges very soon. I'll come to you, Auntie Esther, Chief Executive of Stratcom. And Stratcom is 20 years.
Yes.
This year.
Yes.
You've been doing this for 20 good years.
Yes, I have.
And you're still fabulous.
Really?
Yes, you are. Gina, don't you agree?
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, you're still a fabulous woman. I mean, you're the woman most people look up to. Yeah.
Graceful.
You are graceful. Yeah, very, very much so. How have you done it? Children, work, husband.
I think what I've done is to humbly bring on board the talents that God bestowed on me, and used the multitasking training that my mother gave me to work out everything I have to do. I think it also comes from growing from modest, a modest environment where you have to use the little resources you have at your disposal to survive. I mean, I grew up with a mother that did everything from baking, sewing, crocheting, and waking up at 3 a.m. I mean, I've done it all. She was an entrepreneur and still took care of us. I mean, she had to do that to be able to take care of 5 children. So she seems to have equipped me, right from childhood with the skills for managing business and taking care of the home. My husband often says that I am domestication itself, because when I get home, you will not believe that it is a determination also to excel in everything I do. That's what I was brought up to do. And so I have had to work out mechanisms for being a good mother, sometimes failing, good husband, a good wife, sometimes failing, and being a good entrepreneur as well. And how do I do it? At home, I have to have a system. And sometimes my systems are, I guess, too strict. They'll tell you, they say I'm a policewoman at home. And also to invest in the right things. So if I have house help, I have to invest in them. I mean, I had somebody with me for close to 11 years that, was working with me to take care of the children. And my philosophy at the time was, if this person is taking care of my children, then I have to do the best for that person. And so I invest in that. And I invest in technology at home that will facilitate my work. And I plead with friends, family, and everybody to understand, my challenges with time, but find ways of extending myself so that if I can't be there, maybe my flowers can be there. I will make that call as much as I can. There are times when I've not been able to call back and people have been very upset. I've learned lessons from that. So now I find ways of calling back or letting people know I'll get back to them. Also, bringing up the children in a manner that they do not give you too many problems. Going out, doing wild things, that would drive me crazy, because I am the type that wants to sit somewhere and know that my children are in a particular place. So it involves getting to know the parents of my children. And very soon they become my friends as well. And I love my children's friends. They are my children as well. And I mean it in every sense of the word. They're free to come to the house. They spend time there. So I feel comfortable when they tell me I'm with this person or that person. At work, there you do not have as much control because the workers are not your children. You can't, and there are, people come in with their own aspirations and all that, and you have to work with them to resonate with the vision of the organization. And so what I tried to do right from the word go was to ensure that as much as possible we had systems evolving, and also not to do everything myself. As soon as we could afford it, for instance, I believed right from the beginning that the money of the organization is not my money, it's the organization's money. So somebody else has to look after it. I'm a communication specialist, I'm not a finance person. So right from day one, there was somebody looking after the money. Very soon I got somebody to look after the staff. So in building an enterprise, I realized that it was better to invest the money in systems, structures, and professionals that could take load off me, and that meant that I had to sacrifice a lot in terms of what would come to me or to the organization. But I thought that was the best.
But has it been difficult?
It has been difficult. I mean, running a business in this environment is difficult, especially service-based, knowledge-based business where people are not at the end of the day getting a product. It's very difficult for people to appreciate that your knowledge is worth money. People feel they can't tell what you did for them. And sometimes I tell businesses, we saved you from losing your whole organization by helping you to manage your reputation. Because when you lose your reputation, it's all gone. And it's difficult to then build a business, with this kind of orientation, and to manage the people within to appreciate that we're having these challenges outside. But it goes back to sharing information all the time, and that's what we have tried to do. But you wake up in the morning, you have work on your mind, you have to deal with the children. If you have two lovely boys like I do, who right from the beginning wouldn't let anyone bathe them, wouldn't want anyone to, they'll kill me.
Except mommy.
Except mommy. So I had to do that. So the night before, I would put out their clothes. I would iron everything because I wasn't sure whether there was going to be electricity, there was going to be water. So in the morning, I fix them, take them to work, take them to school, and I'm off to work.
Wow.
And then I make sure that when they were growing up, I knew what they were eating. It put a lot of pressure on me. However, it was pressure that I enjoyed because I knew that I was doing it for people that I love. And one of the things that helps me to do all this is that the Bible says you are a royal priesthood, a chosen generation. So I believe that anywhere I am placed, I have to deliver in a priestly manner. So if I'm a mother, I have to deliver motherhood in a priestly manner. If as a wife, I do that. And I also believe that church is like 1.5 hours. Church, for me, is the world. How I live and make people enjoy, my life, the way I deliver on things is church. And therefore, that guides me. And so when I get weak, desperate, and frustrated, I go to the source.
That's all. Okay. Gina.
Yes.
You stay in the recording studio sometimes all night. How do you do it?
Well, I mean, if that happens, then I have definitely, and I love that word, delegation.
Yes.
I have definitely delegated the aspect of looking after the children, making sure the children are cared for. And whoever cares for my children is doing it my way, for sure. Because it always starts with you. And I always say to people, if you're going to have kids, then you need to be willing to invest time, energy, effort, I'm here today. Gabriele, by the way, I don't have just teenage boys. I have a little 2-year-old. So I haven't gone beyond that stage of the challenge, which I understand completely because I've been through it and now I'm going through it again, where I'm having to teach him everything. Because he's just, we're potty training him now. Well, it's everything, And in the middle of the night, for whatever reason, bless his cotton socks, he woke up. Mommy, I want mommy. And Daddy is also very hands-on and very good. So, but Daddy made the perhaps slight mistake of bringing him into bed with us. And of course it didn't work. We had to take him back to his room. But, it's challenging. For sure it's challenging. But I actually believe that as women we've been given a special quality. And that is to multitask. I haven't met any woman, my mother, we're all talking about multitasking. And I think that it's something that we have been given. Seriously, I really do. And you see it in little girls. And when you look in the classroom, you see little girls behave differently from the way little boys behave. I just think it's part of the way we've been built. And so as a result, it's not so difficult. Motherhood and career, you can find a balance. You can. And I think that the trick also is to be present. So I love the fact that you say that when you go home, you're described as your domestication itself. Absolutely. Because you get home and you are present. So when Gabriela comes to me and says, Mama, draw me a cloud. You do it and you're there. It's not like your mind is on the fact that you're editing something and it's not quite going the way you want. No, you've got to be present. Absolutely present. And I think that's the key because children know. They know when you're listening. And it can be the 16-year-old who's talking to you about something. That's really important. And then the other thing that you mentioned, I just want to pick on things that you mentioned because it's the same for all of us, really. The other thing you mentioned is the fact that you have to train them at an early age so that you don't have wahala later. And it's true because I have teenage boys and I have a 2-year-old. And I look at my teenage boys. I'm bringing up my 2-year-old the way I know how. And that's the same way I brought up Christopher and Benjamin. And I am so blessed. They are such good boys. They are so well behaved. They don't give me any headaches. I don't have to worry really about anything. And that starts from there. Starts from when they're really little. They say look at a 2-year-old, look at a 4-year-old, and you'll know how the 14-year-old's going to be.
Okay, so listening to all three of you, it's very clear that you can all multitask. But how do you respond to ladies who say that at this point of my life I can't do parenthood, I can't be a mother and still work, so I'm taking 3 years off?
I believe it's a choice. If that individual or that woman decides that she wants to give full attention to her family or to her children, that's her decision and it must be respected. So far as she's able to take care of them, get out of work and be able to take care of her kids, that's fine.
And don't let's not get confused here. You said right in your introduction that working is not just going to the office or having a career. Trust me, it's a full-time job looking after the home. So absolutely, it's her choice. And if she feels that she can't quite cope, because having a baby is pretty challenging in itself. And then, how quickly do you go back to work? Maybe you don't feel ready, and that's absolutely fine. Maybe you have loads of little kids. They're all under the age of 5, 3 of them. What do you do? No, absolutely. You just respect that choice. And when she's ready, she may choose to go back to a career or not. That's okay.
Okay, now let's focus on the children, because I've seen a few latchkey kids around. They go home, they know where the key is, they know where the food is, they know where to put the food, they know how to warm the food. Is it healthy, Auntie Esther?
I had my children before that started happening. My boys are, grown now, 28 and 26.
Oh my gosh, they're men!
So, I think I find it difficult to comment on situations that, for which I do not have the full information and the full picture. But children are to be cared for, and research has shown that children who have their parents around them, especially their fathers, grow very confident, and the early childhood years from 1 to about 8 are critical. And it is important that children are guided. So, I mean, your name again?
Gina.
Gina talked about delegation. In such situations, I guess it would be good to delegate, and have somebody be there with the child, because at that time they're not able to take decisions themselves. A child finding the key, anything could happen. It builds their character, but character in what way? We have to look at that. I mean, it is said that your reproductive years are your most productive years as well, but you have to decide in which area you want to be more productive and how you want to spread your productivity. I would be concerned about just leaving a 7-year-old to get home by himself, open the door, go home, get the food, warm it, eat it, and do what?
I'd be more than concerned. I'd call it negligence.
Yes.
And I might be shot for this, but I would call it negligence.
It's difficult.
But if the woman is so busy,
well, then maybe it wasn't the right time for her to have kids.
Yes.
Or you must put a system in place.
You have to put a system in place.
You need to invest in getting someone to support you.
Yes.
Like Auntie Esther said, most of the time we go in for help, and for me, I tried several of them. It wasn't working. And because they come and they don't know what's in for them. Or they tell you 2 years, I want to start a trade. 2 years down the lane, they leave you and go. But if I have adopted one young child, a daughter, sort of, she's 16, and she's like part of the family, and she goes to school. So we've invested in her education, and we're prepared to help her through university, whatever she wants to do. And so she sees herself as part of the family, and she's prepared to support. They are all the same age, but at least there's some kind of checks and balances. And you also have the family helping you. You have, I have a family, person, a lady who's about 33, and she's also around. She does, when we leave, she also goes to do her work. By the time the kids are in, she's also around. So you need supervision to some extent, because you can't leave the kids there. You don't know what they're watching, you don't know what they're eating. What if something happens, even with adults, domestic accidents, you turn on the gas and something happens, something unfortunate happens. Dangerous. They won't be able to think,
But unfortunately, we are getting a lot of cases like that.
Yes. But you see, I think what it is for us, there's a tension between what traditionally was happening and the reality of the day. Traditionally, you could get somebody to come and live with you, but we're saying send your girl child to school, send your boy child to school. And so everybody is in school, which is where they should be. And therefore, people are doing this if they want that as a profession. So I think that this is a country in transition where child care is concerned, caring for children whose parents have to work is concerned. So it is something that women have to pay attention to. But because it's not something that previously was being discussed, in a formal manner and all that, we're trying different things, and people think that because there's a microwave, there's that and that and that, I can, and some may even find it fashionable, but it can be a dangerous fashion. I think as a country and women, we need to focus on this situation, this transition, this friction between what has been traditionally done and what the reality of the day is, and find ways, invest time in thinking through, and invest time and money in finding the right solutions.
I think that, you're talking about a society where perhaps we need to also look at a support network, because there's some women who cannot afford to hire somebody to come and help, etc. So it's about, offering that support as well, because, yes, you have to work, otherwise your child's not going to have food on the table. So it's, this is a reality. It really is. And, there's an independence aspect as well. Yes, you have these kids, they go, they open the door, they work, they make their own food, they put it in the microwave, whatever it is. Great. I love the idea of independence, but I think that independence training needs to happen when you're there. So you're there and you say, darling, you can go downstairs and get your own breakfast, which is what I used to do with my middle son, for sure. He used to go again, and now it's easy. In the morning, he just comes and says, off now, mum. Have you brushed your teeth? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And having someone in there taking care of your kids also has its own challenges, because if they are upset with you,
they take it out on them.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I used to do was that, when my kids were 1-2 years, I had someone helping me. But in the morning when I'm going to work, unfortunately at the time my daddy was on retirement. I lost my mother, when I was 20, before I got married. So I'll just drive them there with help and my baby. And then my daddy, although he wasn't a woman, I didn't have the money, but he, ensured that everything was right, you see. So you don't want to take things for granted.
Grandparents
exactly, they are great.
Yes.
And I think for us as Ghanaians, we have something very good. I mean, our systems, our family system is something that is very good that we shouldn't let go.
Aren't we losing it?
We are losing it gradually.
Distances. Grandma lives at Dansuman.
And you will be living in Hato.
Exactly. But if there's a way to, keep it going, that would be very good.
Okay, how about husbands? How crucial is the role of the husband in all this?
Yes, I have a supportive husband, who encourages me, even with my work, because sometimes I say, look, I just want to be a housewife. I said, no, you can't be a housewife. I didn't mean to marry a housewife, so you can't be a housewife. I said, but I can't go through all this. He's there to support you, helping with the kids when there's no one to support. Sometimes I drop them at school and he picks them up, or he picks them up and I drop them. And I have not been too good with drivers. I feel very uncomfortable because, sometimes you have no option than to use them. But if you have the means, or you have the time to do it, it is good, because you tend to spend time with them in the car, talking, chatting, what happened in school, and they enjoy it. So for me, whatever time I have, the opportunity I have to spend time with my kids, I love it. But if you don't have a husband who supports you, that could be really challenging, because they need to be there. But sometimes I'm out of the country. I have to travel on a business trip, 5 days, a week, 10 days. And if your husband is not there, what happens? The kids may grow up going wayward. And these are some of the challenges we have, because if mothers or fathers are not there for their kids, you would end up working, making all the money, and the kids may not be there for you. So it's very important for you to spend time with them, and both of you should understand that, look, you're in together. It is not a mother issue. It is for both of you to bring up your kids in the way that you want them to grow up. And so the father must also be there to help him. Sometimes he goes to the kitchen with the guys. I said, look, today I'm tired. He goes to the kitchen with the boys. Come, let's prepare breakfast. Today we'll prepare lunch for everyone. And the kids also enjoy it. So you build a family together, and it's part of the bonding system. So I believe that the fathers must also be part of this whole process.
Gina, how supportive?
I believe that.
Yes.
And he's a very good cook, and and there are some times when I have to travel. He travels for business too, and when I have to travel, we sort of compare our schedules and just make sure one of us is here. One of us, it has to be at home, because otherwise how do you do it? They've got to have a parent. I would never leave my kids, and I'm not judging anybody who does, but with the house help alone in the house. Either I'm leaving them, I just couldn't. Either I'm leaving them with my parents. Grandparents are fabulous, and they live close by. But there are times when they travel too. So what do? You can't take a teenager out of school. So we just strike a balance. He's very hands-on, very good father.
Auntie Esther.
Yeah.
A supportive husband?
Yes.
Ooh, you've got to say yes.
That's what you need. That's what you need. I mean, whether for your work, just to have your sanity. I mean, if you see an angry mother, sometimes it's because they're being worried by a husband that's not supportive. If you go to work and you can't concentrate, it might be because the man you love is wearing you out. So a supportive husband to enable you keep the balance, that's a must. That is a must, and that's what I have. So
if your husband had at some point said that, Esther, you need to, stop work.
I have sometimes told him that, and he has said, no, I enjoy what you do.
Okay.
Go ahead and do it. I mean, there was a time, I'll tell you a joke. I came and I said, I just going to stop work and be home and sell the company. And he said, and I said, help me to sell it. And he says, I will. I said, okay. How will we do it? He says it's easy. I'll buy it and make you the chief executive.
That's a good one. That's a very good one.
But I think that this busy schedule and travel and all that does not only relate to people who work in offices. I mean, we have some market women. They juggle a lot. Yep. Some of them have to travel to the northern region to bring the yams that we eat, tomatoes and all that. So business trips are traditional. Growing up in my hometown, Comenda, a lot of the women had to travel to Liberia at that time to bring goods to be sold. But what it is the extended family was immediately around. And now that is a challenge. So you need that supportive husband. You need to invest in systems and resources that ensure that your children are not left alone and that you know how they are being brought up. You need to even invest in your children's friends.
Yes, I like that.
You need to invest in your children's teachers by spending time with them. I used to go to my children's school anytime I was traveling to tell their teacher, I will be away this week. It may affect the child. So look, when I come back, I call to find out how did things go and all that. And I think those are little things that if we did, we would be able to, manage the difficult situations that we find ourselves in. Because somebody in a community like my hometown traveling would tell, an aunt or something, I'm traveling, please take care of. And what it is in our community, that normally we bring up our children not to feel that this is my mother and that's my mother alone. The whole society can discipline a child, but these days we have world accommodation, and people don't even know what is happening. So we have to look at the reality of today, and because what we're doing today is not peculiar to us, because I know that mothers in the past have had to travel, they've had to go and sit in the market, but in the market sometimes they have the child with them. And there was a time I told my office that I wanted to build a creche as part of the office, the facility, so that the children would be in there whilst they're working, because I thought it would make things easier but of course we didn't have the space and all that. So maybe businesses need to begin to think about some of these things. Then all the excuses with, I had to leave because my child this or that, some of that would also go down.
Okay. Now, on the same issue about the supportive husbands, what would be your advice to a single mother who has to do it all by herself? She has nobody to give her the support your husbands give you.
Like Auntie Esther said, we don't live in isolation. We have family around us. We have our fathers, we have our aunties, we have our uncles.
Possibly,
yes. An uncle could play a role of a husband, helping you to bring up the kids the way they should. You can identify even a friend who can help you in the process. So if you're a single mother, you shouldn't feel too sorry for yourself, because that's the decision, or that's what the situation. Yes, you find yourself, and so you must make the best out of that situation. It's a difficult thing because the kids also need their fathers around, but then you cannot deprive them of their fathers, and so you must fill in the gap. Look for the right people to support you, whether it's a brother, whether it's an uncle, whether a friend. You must identify someone who can help you, one or two people.
And usually, if you're a single mother, that's my ring. We'll pick it up in a minute. My fingers are too skinny. Usually, you have friends. You have a social network anyway. Like you say, you're not living in isolation. And I think that what it is you know that you've got good male friends, and even as an individual, we have certain aspects that are a bit. You just have to be both. Strike a balance. And what I would say is that it's not, and you need to be very cognitive of the fact that not everybody can be trusted.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's up to you. You are the parent. You're in this situation. You're the single mother. I know some single mothers who have achieved amazing things. You look at their kids and you never know they were brought up by a single parent. So it's not such a handicap any longer. It really isn't. It's not that big a deal. Sometimes you're married. And the man's never there.
So you're even single.
Yes, it's even worse. So yes.
Auntie Esther, your thoughts on that one?
Oh, I just respect single parents. I mean, single mothers or fathers who are having to handle children by themselves. I respect them very much. I think that there's something in them that enables them to do what they do. And as Gina said, it's not everybody you can trust. You have to be careful who you depend on. But it is critical that single parents, do not try to do it alone. I've sometimes spoken to single parents who say, just the time to take a decision about the child's school, I just needed somebody to think through it with. I think right from the beginning, you need to identify somebody that you can think with. And over time, the child himself or herself becomes a friend that you can think with. I mean, I've seen single parents who have such strong relationships with their children. It's amazing. And the children mature so quickly because they're having to work with their mother through many things. But I feel that they have it in them, in the strength in them. And so no single parent should feel sorry for themselves. They're doing better than us because they're doing it alone. And there is an inner strength that they should tap into and then make the right decisions, invest in the right relationships around them so that people can, support them.
Okay, now on to another issue about Mother's Day. Are we overdoing it?
Overdoing what?
Over celebrating Mother's Day. Are we?
I believe in
the fathers.
No, I believe there's Father's Day too. I believe
it's not on the same scale.
On the same scale. That's because we're women and we're pathetic, really. I mean, we like to be fussed over. I think that celebration of any aspect of humanity and what is a good thing. I think being acknowledged is a good thing. I personally, as an individual, couldn't care less about Mother's Day, but I know that it's wonderful for me to say to my mummy, Happy Mother's Day, and mean it. It reminds us of things that we might take for granted. I think that sometimes we take those relationships for granted, and so it's just remembering.
Auntie Esther, we're almost commercializing it. Mother's Day.
I was going to say it depends on how we celebrate it. And I always say meanings are in people. The meaning of what Mother's Day is in you. And but I would say that probably Mother's Day has become big because of the role that mothers play in the lives of people. You see a footballer, a basketball player,
talk about his mother.
all the people who have progressed in life, 90% of them will stand on TV and say, "Hi, Mom." And
True.
so it's really, we have not asked for it. The world has recognized,
It's a gift.
but the commercialization of it may take away the essence of Mother's Day. So, but if
It's like Christmas.
yes, if my child wakes up in the morning and comes to me, every day is Mother's Day for me, because I ask my children to help me with things and they do. They come and hug me. They come in the evening and they ask me, "Mommy, are you okay?" Because they know I'm under pressure. And that for me is Mother's Day. But if on Mother's Day they came to hug me and they didn't have anything for me, that is just wonderful. That is just so it depends on what each individual wants. If we all want to be given huge gifts, then the commercialization will continue. But if we just want to be loved and shown respect, I think that will stop, reduce the commercialization.
But the commercialization is almost inevitable. We commercialize everything, Valentine's Day, all of that.
Christmas,
but I think
even Easter.
There you go. I think there's some women who truly are not appreciated, even within their own home. And so I think it reminds people to just appreciate them. So I think that's a good thing.
But if we don't take care, people will feel you need to give something on Mother's Day, something that has been bought, something of commercial value before anybody can appreciate. Or what did you give your mom? You didn't give her anything. I gave my mom this. It's unnecessary. A hug.
I just think that the Mother's Day thing is for us to, as people, to remind ourselves of the role mothers play. It could be aunties or women play, because I lost my mother early, but I had aunties who were prepared to help me through, this journey, and they were there as mothers. They were even more than mothers, So exactly. So it's just a time for you to reflect, and then think about what mothers have done, and then what you can show in appreciation. You don't have to buy, like Auntie Esther said, the whole world, but just a phone call, or just to pass by to say, "Look, I appreciate you for what you've done for me."
Just a phone call or a WhatsApp message.
WhatsApp message.
There's a message here. I mean, I've got some messages here, and a lot of messages here. And this one, I think, stands out for me, and it stands out for me because it's a woman who indeed is suffering. She says, "Nanaba, I'm in a very abusive marriage. My husband beats me up most of the time. Well, he stopped now, but it's turned from beating to insult. What do I do?" I wouldn't say leave. You didn't hear it from me. What should she do?
So she's saying to you, "I'm in a very abusive relationship."
How should she celebrate Mother's Day?
Oh, good Lord.
Does she have children?
Yes, I'm sure. She says, "I'm a mother in an abusive marriage." Difficult.
Well,
I think it's
we
the
don't
children
know
who are
all
going
the
to.
the children.
The children will appreciate her. The husband, hello. He clearly doesn't appreciate you, young lady, whoever you are.
Okay.
And
it was a very long message.
Yes, they must. The two of them, the lady and her husband, must see someone, talk to
a counselor.
A counselor. Yes. The problem could be something little. That
but not just once, twice. Well, you're the lawyer here.
He has no right. He has no right to beat her up. But she can't stay in this thing forever. So there must be a way of resolving the problem, rather than advising her to, just leave. Unless, of course, it gets to a point where she realizes, no, I can't stay any longer. But then
it could be too late.
You could have killed her.
I cannot stay in an abusive
You see, we're all saying it's difficult to talk about
without knowing everything,
without knowing
all the facts.
What the man's reality is, and what the woman's reality actually is. So I would say, if she could see somebody herself as a woman, talk to a friend or somebody to begin with, sometimes my brother says love is blind, marriage is an eye opener. So, but sometimes you're still blind in the marriage. So, she may need to talk to a friend who may see the situation in another perspective.
And yes, I really think that she needs to just figure out within herself who she is, what she wants. Does she appreciate herself?
Sometimes
Mother's Day, because we're talking about it from that perspective. Mother's Day, she needs to look at herself and say, you know what, I am somebody. I don't deserve to be treated like this. I don't deserve to be hit. I don't deserve to be insulted. I am what I am. And I think that's where it comes from, because that lack of self-esteem is what makes him think he has a right to hit her and to insult her. So she needs to figure out who she is, and then maybe she'll make the right decision. And the right decision, I'm not saying that she needs to leave, but the right decision. She needs to think about it and say, this has to change. Yeah. So what's the change? It makes me angry.
Research has shown that when you're in an abusive marriage, sometimes it's difficult to make
that decision yourself.
Yes. Yeah. So
you need.
That's why I'm saying that we need to understand the full context to be able to, because sometimes your judgment, other people will think you're crazy, but people don't know why you're still in this. So
that's typical, though. The battered wife. It's just typical.
Yes. So I would say she should talk to somebody she trusts, at least to begin with. And
trust you.
She definitely sent a whole page.
So
message. I just have to summarize.
You have to take this up.
Actually, it's not the first time she's complained. It's every time she send me pictures. She sends pictures. She's been beaten up so badly.
She's crying out for help.
Yeah, I know, but I have
maybe we should ask our foundation to find her and talk to her. They have professionals who,
that would be great.
I will link her up,
because this woman needs something, but she needs to come to that space where she can.
She's not sure.
She's not sure.
She's going to make the right decision.
She's not sure.
Anyway, so happy Mother's Day to all three of you and all women out there, fabulous women. Some women really don't deserve to be celebrated on Mother's Day. It's true. It's true. For instance, a woman somewhere in Bawi whose son, 9-year-old son, stole meat from soup. She went for a blade and cut his fingers open.
Have we tried to understand what was going on with the woman?
You are so sweet. Isn't she amazing?
Well, she's a sweet woman.
Nothing.
She and her husband. Well, they've been in court. The man has been sentenced.
Can you imagine cutting your child up?
It's cruel, and she should be made to, pay for what she did. But beyond that, I always say that sometimes we fight.
It's unbelievable. She held the son's hand like this and allowed the husband to do
it.
He's
9 years old.
You know what? She might do that again. So beyond sanctioning her,
there should be help.
Yes, because if we sanction only to punish, we sometimes harden people.
We haven't even.
But if we sanction to reform, then to reform, it means that you have to understand the situation you're going to reform. So I may sound generous, but
extremely sweet.
No, she should be sanctioned, but to reform so that she doesn't do it again. And we have to understand what is it that is driving her to do that. I mean, very often we meet people who upset us, we fight with them, and I tell people, you may find out later that you were not fighting with the person. You were fighting with something that person is dealing with. If we would take
that's almost always the case, isn't it?
Yeah. So I would say this woman, she's not done right, but let's not just sanction her and leave her. She might do it again.
Okay, we'll leave her out of this Mother's Day, this particular one.
Oh,
next year
we don't wish her.
But that's part
if she reforms.
That's part of her punishment.
Yes. Thank you very much, Edith Dankwa, Chief Executive Officer of the Business and Financial Times. Happy Mother's Day to you. Gina West, lawyer, singer, fabulous woman as well. Happy Mother's Day to you. And my own mentor, Esther Koba. Happy Mother's Day to you, Chief Executive of Stratcom. You need her, Her company is very good to manage your communications and everything. Very fantastic.
She says that. That's probably the case.
And we're 20 years this year.
Starting now.
Yeah, 20 years. So they've been doing it for 20 years. Okay. Forget about the ones that are 2 years old.
Yeah, I hear you.
They haven't got it right yet. Happy Mother's Day to you, Auntie Esther.
And happy Mother's Day to you in anticipation.
Amen.
And,
well, I'm a single mother.
You're single
Oh,
mother.
yes, you are.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm taking all the funds here. The lifestyle segment was brought to you by Lipton Tea. Thank you very much. We'll be back with more entertainment.